This is my comfort blanket, and I just want to talk about the textures and the way I put this together. The blanket's quite heavy, and it's quite actually nice to wrap round because of that heaviness in it. When I started this, the blankets was found in a charity shop. But what I wanted to do was use a lot of different textures and build up. This particular piece is one of my favourites. This is at the end, postmenopausal woman, and she's trying to, she's looking forward, and her yoga pose is quite joyful. The colours are really positive, new life kind of colours. And what I like about this is it's very much on a very, very light cotton, and I love the feeling of the stitches as I just roll my hand over, and I like the build up of the colours of the stitches. But what I like when it's actually put onto the thicker blanket, it's got a movement to it. It's not on the blanket perfectly. It's got ruffles on it. It's got areas where it's not meeting the blanket, and actually I like that. I don't like it to be completely perfect, because nobody's life is completely perfect. So that makes me feel very, very joyful in the way that I do that. I wanted to talk about a particular piece of playing around and experimentation with textures in this area. This was about, a lot of the comfort blanket is based on responses to a flyer that I sent about to ask people about how they felt about the menopause, if they were going through it themselves or if a friend or family was going through it, and to just give sentences, small anecdotes, and so I could build on their feelings, their journeys through themselves, and also incorporate it with my feelings as well. And this particular just little section, I played around with how fabric changes its look and its feel when paint is added to it. So it starts off as something, and then something comes into it and changes it. And in what way does that change it? And it's just a tiny section to it. But I think actually this might come to more of my work in the future. So I've got a kind of a very, very soft, almost velvety, but it's not quite velvet, sheened fabric. And I've put some acrylic and I've daubed that with my fingers, because what I wanted to do on this piece is have get that feeling with my fingers, my skin, onto the fabrics of, because often textiles, your skin feels textiles, and I wanted that with the paint as well. And so this acrylic paint is still pliable, but it's stronger, it's created that stronger. So then I got a piece of red velvet and did the same on the red velvet. And this is very, very strong and unflexible. And so that's an interesting difference in also with something with pile. And so on top of that, I wanted to look at creating a piece with more frayed edges. And in a way, it's a metaphor for how frayed we feel through the menopause. I stuck my finger through to pull and basically distress the piece. So it just felt so distressed. And then of course putting lots more paint on there with my colour palette, but really, really roughly painting on there to create an even more, well, this one actually is quite flexible until you get to that bit, and then it's not flexible at all on that bit. But the fraying, of course, makes it more delicate. So there's a juxtaposition of different things in here, and I really like that. So there's the one thing I tend to do when I'm doing a large scale piece is do individual smaller elements within it. But one of the bigger pieces within here is the uterus. And I'll just move back to show you a bit better. And the uterus was, and that's when I did use a brush, because I wanted to have the uterus much softer lines, and this is using watercolour to not harden the fabric as much as, say, acrylic would do, but also create a really dynamic image in there, but a strong but beautiful way of looking at an organ in our body. And then what I cut into it, and then created some mending with gold to make it more precious. And the feeling of these different ways of working, I love painting onto fabric. I feel that it's a really rawness that it just, my energy becomes much stronger, and my brushstrokes more powerful in a way, because I feel as though I'm less able to make a mistake, therefore I've got to go for it and I've got to believe in myself. And then when I use different media to stitch with, this was actually really, really difficult to stitch because of the open weave of the cinema between it. But it became a real challenge, and I really wanted to do it. And I'm so glad I did, because it's taught me an awful lot. And I wanted to leave the frayed areas of stitch, because life isn't perfect, like I said before. And it's just nice just to have that area of just being a normal person, and not having things so manufactured.